Dr.C.Senthilkumar, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering. So this session we are going to see the case study on conduction. Already we have seen conduction, radiation of heat transfer subject, and I elaborated all the concepts related to the mode and mechanism of heat transfer to all the students activity. Now I expect few of the students to volunteer and explain about the case study on conduction. So can I expect the volunteer? Please come and explain the concept now. Please introduce yourself and you can start explanation.
Myself, Dr.C.Senthilkumar, mechanical department. Now we are going to see how the conduction takes place in four kinds of objects. And each one of us will come and explain how the object takes place. Heat transfer throughout the body. Now we are using the descending concept of how the conduction takes place in a square-faced hollow body. Here, when we will apply heat from this end to this end, and how the heat transfer takes place. Now we are going to see a real-life example of how the heat takes place. Now we are going to apply a small amount of heat at the starting of the object. Now the heat has been applied here. Now the heat will transfer throughout the body, but it will take slowly. It takes time because it is a hollow body. The airflow will be inside the hollow shape, so that the body will take time to transfer the heat from this end to that end. Now we are going to see the recap how the conduction takes place. Because of the heat transfer here, so the whole body didn't. It takes so much time to complete the transfer of heat from this end to this end. This is the conduction takes place. Thank you.
Okay. Next volunteer. Next volunteer coming to geometry.
Hi, myself Conduction. Today I am going to summarize the heat. Today I am going to summarize the heat transfer of a circular solid rod. The solid rod is heated at one end, and this is T1. Consider this as T1, and cooled at other end. This is T2. In between this, the heat is transferred throughout the axis of the rod. The main component of heat transfer is conduction. It is done by Fourier's law of heat conduction. So, by the Fourier's law of conduction of heat, this is how the heat transfer throughout the rod.
Okay. Can you say why is it unified? What does it indicate? All interested can join. Why is it unified? What does it indicate? The class students are those who are interested.
Because of the heat, because the decreases of heat.
Because 1.2.
1 point another point because
It
starting point
there will be a reduction in
reduction
temperature.
of heat.
So that is very important. Thank you. You can summarize.
Now we see now classmate explain about how the heat transfers in a solid circular solid rod and using Fourier series by Fourier series of conduction we see how the heat transfers and they written the formula of Q is equal to minus Ka by dt by dx. Q refers to the heat transfer of the radius, how the circumference of the rod, circumference of the cylinder. And it takes the thermal conductivity, how the thermal conductivity takes place throughout the rod will be applied the heat, and A is the cross section of the area, and how the area of the rod measured from one end to the other end, and dt by dx is the temperature gradient along the rod. When we give heat applied from starting end, and the temperature how it varies from one end to the other end when the thermal conductivity takes place also. This is how the Fourier law takes place, and this is the summary of the circumference of this solid rod.
Okay. Next volunteer.
Hi, myself Ilekya from Mechanical Department. Now I am going to explain about the conduction process. So now what is conduction? Conduction is nothing but the process of transferring of heat from one solid object to another solid object without the material movement. If one end of the object becomes hot, the other end of the object also becomes hot due to conduction. Now I am going to explain about this hollow cylindrical body, how conduction happens in this body. Now Now we are going to show you the demo. So when fire heat touches the outer surface of this body, the inside surface is always cooler at first. The outer surface becomes very hot. Always, so generally heat flows from hotter region to colder region. So from this hotter surface becomes heat at first, and then the cooler region also becomes heat. So summarizing this concept, when fire heat touches the outer surface of the pipe heat at first, and finally the inside region also becomes heat due to temperature increase.
Next person, explain. How is that?
So hi everyone, this is Christian. Today I am going to explain about the linear structure of magnetic rod. Okay. So as you see, this is a one-dimensional rod. Okay. In many engineering applications, we will use linear structures for structural membrane design. Before entering into conduction, and radiation, we need to know what is thermal system design. The thermal system system design is nothing but transfer of heating in any and all other possible ways. Okay. For example, I am having a mild steel linear rod. Video. Now I am going to convey heat from this place to this one. Here the heat transfer will be low because because I have give some coating on this plate. Okay, so the heat transfer will be low comparing to the uncoated structures. For example, before my fellow classmates told the heat transfer of all other substance, but compared to that one, this will transfer the heat very low compared to this because I have some give some coatings like white color paint. You can see here the heat. So it will transfer the heat from one place to another at a low time. Okay, but transfer, for example, if it is here 40 degree means at the period of 30 minutes, it will transfer up to 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. Okay, so as our friend said, this is the equation for conduction. Also here you can see the convection as per this the radiation. My summarization is heat transfer of any substance, it will be low from high to low. Okay, because transfer of heat will be low to high to low.
Thank you very much. I call everyone, all three or four members. Anyone, someone explain about the recap, summary of the whole core geometry which you have seen at the case study. What you are saying somebody?
Before that, by using designing concept, we have explained how the conduction of every object can be through the heat process, and we show a demonstrate a real-time example how the transfer of heat takes place in both kinds of objects. And in every object, we are using conduction using giving a heat in the end of the or starting of the object. The heat transfers from one end to the other. Now we have to see a difference between circular and a hollow object. In circular object, the heat transfer of heat takes place quickly, but in hollow object, the transfer of heat takes place very slowly because the hollow object contains some holes here for the dissipation of heat. And in the solid object or circular object, it is a solid, it's a long solid rod. So that the transfer of heat takes place. When we see the hollow object, in the end of in any part of the object, we start giving heat, and at the end of the solid object, we start to be very low. For example, if we get now I have two objects. We explained both also. It is a solid object. It is a hollow object. If I give a heat, if I give a constant heat of 50 degree to 60 degree here, it will reach only up to 30 or 35. It may take time. It will take time also. It's a long period of time to complete its temperature from here to here. But we see in a solid object, if I give a heat up to 60 degree here, at a short period of time, it will reach the maximum. It gives the maximum amount of heat will be reached here also. This is the difference between both the objects. This is the conclusion I am going to give that both in solid or in a hollow object, every object hollow object it may take time, and in solid object it will quickly complete the heat transfer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to the volunteer for the case study on conduction with 4 different geometries. Thank you very much to all. Thank you.